I'm an orange moon. I'm an orange moon. Reflecting the light of the sun.
Like, when I look at astrology and how, you know, it does affect our existence here, and I look at the lineage and the dates and times of our family and all of these people who are born on the same day, not to be pseudo at all, but do you think I'm wrong for examining my own chart, like, as I think I'm a part of an astro dynasty? Like,
absolutely. It's not so much that astrology
has
something to do.
Feeling like that?
That astrology has something to do with the day you were born. The day you were born has something to do with astrology.
Right.
Because it's always in effect. Whether and it's about the energies. So that's really what it is. So your chart in the day you were born is likened to what they modernly would call like your resume.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So those energies now, so we have to look at it from that perspective, because the energies affect you on the day that you were born and during the time you were in the womb. You see, from the time you were conceived and at the moment you were conceived, that's the moon seed. Whatever moon you were conceived on is the same moon you're born on and the same moon you pass forward on.
Right now, just for the record, you know, because there's some people who'll be like, oh, they're talking crazy. That's quote unquote pseudo or things of this nature. Can we just break down just something simple as the fact that the moon, because people think that, you know, they're above all existence.
Ah, 車が堤防を越えました今。船も堤防を越えるかもしれない。
People think that, you know, they're above all existence.
There it goes.
Because people think that, you know, they're above all existence.
Good evening. It is all-out war tonight, and the enemy is fire. Firefighters in Southern California are battling 9 major wildfires burning out of control in and around San Diego County. This one in San Marcos is their top priority. Today, 13,000 more homes and businesses got orders to evacuate. That brings the total to 33,000. High temperatures and strong winds are feeding the fires, and steep terrain is making it difficult to contain them. We have 2 reports tonight. First, Carter Evans.
Wind gusts as high as 45 miles per hour pushed the fire up steep hills and into this affluent section of San Marcos. The fire burned so hot in some places it pulled in a rush of cooler air. That circulation created a tornado of fire. That circulation created a tornado of fire. That circulation created a tornado of fire. At one point, the flames were moving in 2 different directions. Firefighter Nick Nahara.
We got winds picking up, changing directions, so we always got to be on our swivel our feet.
Because people think that, you know, they're above all existence, you know, and none of these things affect them. Like, you know, they, you know what I mean? No disrespect, but only thing that affects these people, or some people, is their dogmatic belief systems in certain aspects. You know, so if it ain't Jesus, they don't want to hear nothing about it. But if it's not, excuse me, but my thing is this. For those who would say that astrology, cosmology is not real, can't we look at the fact that we come from a family of ancestors, and a lot of our people all across the world do, who are agricultural, who are into agriculture.
Yes.
Meaning acre culture, meaning they were cultivating food and things of that nature off the land. But the way they had to do it was that they needed to know the stations of the moon.
Absolutely.
Because they had almanacs and things like that for those purposes, meaning that they were using astrology, cosmology to manifest things, tangible things on the earth realm.
Absolutely. In fact, in our family, who comes from the southern portion of the North American continent, the Virgin Land, right? We have, or I have a great uncle, which would be your great great uncle. He's passed from now. Who they did an article in the newspaper on several years back, but recent, considering how long they had been farming, family or cultivating the land, rather than farming, because see, people cultivated the land back then not to make finance, but to eat, to live.
Right.
They cut the trees down for wood and also cooked with it in the wood stoves and knew exactly where the temperature was or how to cook the meal. You know, we talk about cooking now, but those ancestors before us, when they had those wood stoves, in fact, your great great aunt, which was the sister of Uncle Thurman, and I'm going to tell you about the story, she passed and refused to have any modern stove. She could have had a gas stove or electric stove. And when we would go visit, she would cook an entire meal on the one wood stove and knew that what to cook at the time for the temperature to rise, to fall. It was absolutely a science. That's really what it was. But as far as planning, they did an article on him to sort of say, well, is it true that planting by the moon is a necessity? Now, these are people who obviously know nothing about planting or cultivating the earth and the resources of the earth. And he explained to them, he says, well, I'll tell you what. You plant your corn on a waning moon, and I guarantee you it won't grow. Does this make sense? Because it's going... The moon fecunds things, or sort of fertilizes, right? Whether it's under the ground, what they call ground provisions, such as or ground things that grow under the ground, such as a potato. A potato doesn't grow above the ground; it actually grows under the ground in the dark. So the moon works in the dark as well.
Emeralds. there's a lot of gold mines, jewels.
Exactly.
All of these things are growing underground.
Yes.
That's still a form of astro-cosmological currency in the earth.
And so I don't know whether they actually did an experiment with it, but he knew it, and he's done it, and he told them about that fact that it won't, because it's going the other way. Now, for people who think that, you know, this is all just not to be believed or whatever, just take the moon alone, and this is an example I always give. The moon alone, when it's full, its magnetic force pulls the tides of oceans and rivers, because all the water is connected. It rises it. Everyone knows this. High tide, low tide, it actually pulls the water.
But while the Earth is attracting the moon is also attracting the Earth, pulling at our oceans. So I have a set of scales, a metal block, and a powerful little magnet. You see, the force of gravity is very similar to magnetism. They're both forces of attraction. If I put the metal block on the scales, you can see it weighs 1.3 kilograms. When I pull the magnet in and nudge it closer, the block appears to weigh less. You can see the needle moving. That's because the magnet is attracting the metal towards it, pulling it upwards off the scales. And that's what the moon's doing. It's pulling on the oceans, moving them upwards, away from the surface of the Earth. The gravitational force of the moon causes the oceans to bulge slightly. And as the Earth spins, this bulging produces high and low tides.
So this moon, which is unbelievable about in terms of being in astrology, if it can pull the tides of the oceans on the Earth, all four corners, and you're made up of what, 75%, maybe even more, of water, what makes us think that it doesn't affect us? For us to think otherwise means that we are vain or ignorant.
Absolutely.
That's it, and that's all.
And it's, I wanted to point this out too, and elaborate on this concept, if you will, because there's a lot of people who are under dogma. However, they think it's religion.
Yeah.
And then when you really study the science of the seven, you find out that all of those quote-unquote holy books are really dealing with cosmological stories.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
Yes, indeed.
So when we look or we mention a word like astrology, right? That's a compound word. Astro meaning star, and logic. We're talking star logic. We're talking logic, just logic stuff.
Yeah.
You have people right now, and a lot of people have, you know, severed from this mental illness conception that there's going to be a man who returns to save them, right? Not to bash anybody's religion, but they really do believe, some people do believe that there's going to be a man that comes back to save them that they can't see, but they're going to come from the sky or whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right. But then if we say something like astrology and we say star logic, we could see these are energies that have to be affecting things, because energy doesn't die. It only transforms or transfers, right?
It cycles.
So star logic would tell you that, all right, if there's anything, you know, see, like, understand what you can see, because it's not that it's not there.
Right.
It's just how much, what does it mean to you?
Well, astrology, actually, it's a good point you're making, because astronomy is likened to the geography of the location of the planets. But astrology are the effects. So it's like if you're dealing with energy, if you have certain energies that as they go in cycles, that are so close to each other. What is this energy and what is that energy, and how does it react or interact with itself? That energy, how does it interact? That's how you really have to look at it. So that is dealing with the mathematics, because those configurations are simply based on how far away something is. And they're used by signs and symbols of sextiles and squares and conjuncts, meaning conjuncts, you're within 20 degrees. Two planetary bodies, let's say, are within 20 degrees of themselves. Square means they're within 90 degrees. You see, and so on and so on.
I'm an orange moon. I'm an orange moon. Reflecting the light of the sun.